Hello, I'm Charlotte and this is Books and Bargains. Today I'm coming to you with my June anticipated releases. Now, a caveat for this, there are possibly hundreds of books being released in June. These are the ones that have been released in the UK either for the first time or in paperback if they've previously been out in hardback. And these are all just books that I have either read and loved or I'm just excited for. I don't always pre-order all the books that I mention in here because, like I say, A, money, and B, just having time to read them. I have touched on before that I have a massive TBR, but that doesn't stop me buying books. So I am going to share with you, I think, 8 books today, and I think 3 or 4 of them I've pre-ordered. 3 I've already read, so I can honestly say in a lot of the cases for this one, I am really excited. And who is that ringing me? Anyway, right, where was I? So yes, I'm not sure where I was then before I got that phone call, but like I say, some I've already read, some I've pre-ordered, and then others have just come onto my radar and I thought, that sounds like a me kind of book. So let's just get into them. So the first book I wanted to share with you is We Had to Remove This Post by Hannah Berveots. If you've seen my vlogs, I've already talked about this one. I'm not mad about this cover. I much preferred the hardback cover. But as a paperback collector, sometimes that's what you get. So this book follows Kaylee, who is a content moderator for a site kind of like Instagram. So when things are reported, they then have to watch them and decide whether they are able to put it out on the internet or whether it needs to be removed because it's against the guidelines. Now, for a short book, this one packed a real impact, and I just thought it was fantastic. It was kind of like, when I read it at the time, it really did make me think about working in the NHS and the kind of stuff that we see on a day-to-day basis and how that almost becomes normalised. This really explored the kind of mental health of the people working there and how they were being supported. Didn't love the ending of this one, I remember, but I still think it was a really important read, and it is now out in paperback on the 1st of June. Obviously, my pre-order came in early. And yeah, you know that I want to read this one again because, like I say, I pre-ordered it because I wanted it in my collection. So this one is already out in hardback, Kindle and audiobook, and will be out in paperback on the 1st of June. Then on the 6th of June in paperback, Kindle and audio is Annabel Monaghan's Same Time Next Summer. I just finished reading this one and I just said in my vlog, I'm kind of matching the cover. That wasn't intentional. Annabel Monaghan has written, I believe, YA before, and last year Nora Goes Off Scribd was her first adult romance, and I really enjoyed that one. I think I gave it a 4-star. This one I've given a 3-star, but I still wanted to include it here as I think that it's a very me problem that I had with it, and actually I still really enjoyed this book, and I think a lot of you will too. There are no real spicy scenes in this one. It's very fade to black, and the descriptions of swimming in the sea and the beach just made it a perfect summer read. So our main character in this one, Sam, believes at the beginning of the book that her life is on track. She is marrying the smart choice of Jack, is his name? I can't even remember. I literally finished this yesterday or the day before. No, yesterday. I think his name's Jack or Jake. I might be totally wrong. But he is the smart choice. He has a good job. He's a cardiologist. He knows what he wants from life. He's got a kind of 5-year plan. And yet when they go back to her parents' summer house, she's almost a little bit embarrassed by the kind of hippie ways of her parents. But it doesn't take long for her to end up barefoot in the sand and just remembering why she loved her summers at the coast so much. And it reminds her of her first love in Wyatt. and how her life now is so different and she almost doesn't quite know who she is. I really loved the story of Sam kind of finding her own and really discovering who she was. But for me personally, the fact that she already had a fiance is what made me feel a little bit ick in this one. But I know that's a very specific thing to me. I'm very black and white when it comes to that. So yeah, did still really enjoy this book, and I will happily be looking out for what Annabel comes up with next. And then on the 8th of June, in paperback, Kindle and audiobook, we have The Do's and Donuts of Love by Adiba Jaigirdar. I never know if I'm saying that right. I have previously read 2 of her, I think her books age genre are kind of middle grade, early YA. So there's nothing too heavy in them, but they're all really great books. So I have read from her The Henna Wars and also Honey and Issues Guide to Fake Dating. Honey and Issues Guide to Fake Dating was my favourite of those, but really loved them both. Wasn't too keen on, I can't even think of the name of it. She wrote a kind of Titanic reimagining. It's gone from my head, but I wasn't keen on that book. That was more a historical fiction though, which is not my thing. However, this is right up my street because the main character is reeling from a breakup when she finds out that she has been accepted onto a baking show, e.g. Great British Bake Off, and her ex is then accepted too. However, she knows that doing this show will be really good for her family's bakery, for the publicity, and yeah, anything with kind of food descriptions is always going to be my jam. I read last month Rosalind Palmer Takes the Cake, and I think that this is going to be more of a YA suitable version of that, and I have got this one pre-ordered, so hopefully that will be read, and in July you will see what I thought of it. And then on the 8th of June, in paperback, Kindle and audiobook, we have From Cornwall with Love, which is the 8th book in the Cornish Cream Tea series by Cressida Mclaughlin. Again, have this one pre-ordered. I haven't read all of the Cornish Cream Tea books yet. There are a few festive ones that I'm saving, but all the seasonally appropriate ones have been read. Now, in this one, all I needed to know is that a long-term crush returns from a decade abroad and Maisie starts to question her life. And you know by now that I am a sucker for these long-running series that always feel like going back home when I read them, and I don't expect anything less from this one. Then on the 22nd of June, in hardback, Kindle and audio, is Amy Mculloch's Midnight in Antarctica. I'm not sure if it's actually called just Midnight or Midnight in Antarctica. I'll put the finished copy here. I received an ARC of this and I absolutely loved it. This is a luxury cruise in Antarctica. It's meant to be the voyage of a lifetime until the first body is discovered, and yeah, this was great. This was exactly what I want from a thriller. This was a kind of closed environment in that the Wi-Fi wasn't brilliant. They couldn't get in touch with people. The weather was terrible. You know, they were in a desolate Antarctica. So a lot of the things that sometimes bug me in thrillers, because I think, why didn't they just do this? Why didn't they just do that? I really enjoyed this one. It was gruesome at times. I wouldn't say it was too far down the body horror scale, but there were a few descriptions. And yeah, Amy Mculloch is a new to me author, but one that I will definitely be keeping an eye out for. Also on June 22nd is a debut author in Xena Knox, and that is Shitbag. Now, this is a YA aimed at the 12 to 15-year-old market, but when Freya collapses and wakes up with a temporary ileostomy, she thinks her life is over. And this book follows her as she goes through the summer. And from what I can gather, she then spends her summer at a summer camp for kids with disabilities, getting used to her new body. Now, this is an Own Voices author. The author also has experience with an ostomy, and it's not something I've ever seen in a book before. And yeah, I think that this book could be really useful and really great for especially teens that are going through that. Like I say, debut author, not a book that I've read, Why is my phone ringing again? As I say, this is not one that I've read. I did request an advanced reader copy but wasn't successful, so hopefully I will get this one on my radar and read it soon. And then on the 27th of June we have Charlotte Isles is Not a Detective by Katie Siegel. This is out in paperback, Kindle and audiobook, and this is a debut author. I'm not sure how this book came onto my radar, but it did. I always make a note of things and when they're out. So yeah, this to me sounds like it would be perfect for those of us who grew up enjoying kind of kid mysteries and kids solving mysteries, because she was a famous child detective and now at 25 feels like her life is going nowhere. She's living at home, scrolling her phone too much, and that's where we start the story. However, when her old phone rings, she reluctantly decides to solve one last mystery, but then soon realizes that she is in danger. And yeah, that's all I know about it, and that's what made me want to read it. And then last but not least, on the 29th of June in paperback, Kindle and audiobook, we have Faking It by Beth Reekles. Now Beth Reekles is a author that I kind of totally missed the Dimmerly series. I think was it Dimmerly, or is that... No, I think Beth Reekles was the Kissing Booth series, and I know that was big on Netflix, but that totally passed me by. However, during lockdown, I read Love Lockdown by her and absolutely fell head over heels in love with it. In fact, yeah, I still have that up on my shelf. It's one that I kept and I would love to read again. So I'm really looking forward to this second adult novel from her. It's fake dating. She is a 25-year-old that needs a date for her sister's wedding, and it goes from there. What more could I want? Fake dating is my absolute favourite trope in romance, and I think I've realised I talk about romance a lot on here, but with the exception... Well, actually no, I think I was trying to put into words recently why it is that some romances really make me cringe and others don't, and I think I'm more into romantic comedy than straight up romance. I think if it's a straight up romance, I prefer Fade to Black, whereas if it's romantic comedy, I can deal with that a bit more. I don't know. I've read a lot of sex scenes in the past that have just made my toes curl, and not in the good way. So yeah, that's not what this video is about. But yeah, I think that I really enjoyed Beth Reekles' last book because it was funny and it was sweet and it was... Yeah, I'm hoping to get the same from Faking It. So they are all the books that are going to be released in July and are on my radar. Are there any of these that you're now adding to your TBR? Let me know down below. Or are there any other books that you're excited for in June? I hope you've enjoyed this video, even if it was a bit quick and a bit rambly, and I hope you're all okay. So until next time, look after yourselves. Bye.